Morning everyone, and welcome back to the Runpreneur vlog, where we discuss all things entrepreneurship and running. It's a very fresh wintry morning, feels like -1 degrees, a bit breezy, so no waking you up weather, that's what I'd describe it as. And it's a Monday motivation today, where we talk about all things motivation and productivity. And today's topic is on modularizing and time blocking. So as always, if you like this video, please give it a like and a subscribe, and let's get started. So, modularizing and time blocking as a productivity hack. What do I mean about it? Well, firstly, let's break it down so you can understand what I'm talking about. The first thing to understand is that it's perfect timing for this, as we're into 2021 now, and everybody's setting goals, milestones, targets, objectives, whatever you want to call them. And quite a lot of people will always try and take on more than they can accomplish, and which I'm a strong believer in stretch targets, but they've got to be realistic. Okay, there's no point saying I'm going to go from nothing to making 5 million in a year. It's probably highly unlikely unless you've got an incredibly robust plan. Stretch targets, on the other hand, it might be £1 million, which could very well be achievable. But I think the issue is that people don't often achieve their big goals because they have no plan or structure behind them, and as a result, it's the whole analogy of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, isn't it? And I think what the problem is people don't know where to start or what process to kind of take each bite at a time will ultimately result in entrepreneurial freeze, entrepreneurial procrastination, whatever you want to call it. And the entrepreneur just freezes, doesn't take action, and is actually regressing rather than progressing, and ultimately their goals get further away than closer. So this is a concept I use more so now than previously because it's so effective. And what we're looking to do is, when you look at, let's compare this modularizing, let's compare it to, if any of those of you who have got university degrees or have been through education will understand that the different courses are often broken down into modules. And the reason that that's so effective is because it's doing exactly how do you eat an elephant, breaking it down into bite-sized chunks. That's exactly what it's doing. It's taking a course and breaking it down into modules, and then you might have sections or within each module. So it's breaking things down, and where it becomes super effective when you combine time boxing and modularization is that, let's say, I don't know, we want to launch a sales funnel, okay? Those of you who haven't got experience with launching sales funnels would think, oh yeah, that's pretty easy. But those of you who have will know there's a huge amount of work that goes into launching a sales funnel, in terms of identifying all the different pages that need to be created, all the different forms, making sure it's linked with email marketing, making sure that your CRM is connected to it, making sure the testing's done, getting the design created, the copywriting. It's huge amounts of work, and then testing. So they've probably broken that down into 5 or 6 different modules just there off the top of my head, and that's without actually sitting down and planning it properly. Now, if I was to say, I want a sales funnel created in 10 days, we've done this, by the way, I know how horrendous and stressful it is doing that, but if I was to go, right, we've got a 10-day launch here, and if I was to break that sales funnel creation into, say, I don't know, 5 modules, and then say, right, module number 1 is mapping out the funnel, okay? So mapping out funnel might take a couple of hours. Now obviously I've got other things going on as well, so I'm going to commit to getting that done in 2 1-hour chunks in week 1 and week 2. Sorry, in day 1 and day 2. So what you can then do is you can then block and time box the time to do those 2 tasks into your calendar on day 1 and day 2, which gives you the roadmap to completing that module, which then means module 3 can start on day 3. So module 2 can start on day 3. So if you can kind of understand, you could then timeline the whole process out so that you've given yourself a real opportunity to deliver a massive project within a condensed amount of time, or a period of time. I think the amount of time is almost irrelevant. The fact of the matter is you've broken a massive task down into modules. You've then broken each module down into sections, and each section has become a task, and you've time boxed that task into your calendar on a timeline basis. So you can ultimately, you know, if you hit your targets and get these little tasks done when you set them to be done, you'll complete that project, because you've just broken it down into manageable bite-sized chunks within the constraints of the deadline, i.e. you've mapped it out on a timeline, and as long as you complete those tasks, you'll complete that project. So let's hope this has been clear. So if I was to kind of summarise what I've just explained, is number one, if you're taking on a stretch target or a big project or a big goal, you need to jump into modularization and time boxing. What we mean by that is taking that massive target, breaking it down into modules. Now try and be, common sense should tell you where the module splits are. Like, for example, mapping out the sales funnel and creating the landing pages are clearly two different category of activity, so they would clearly be separate modules. Hopefully you can do the same when you're identifying the modules in your big goal or project. Once you've got the modules, break them down further. What are the little bite-sized steps in that module or sections that you need to break it down to? Each of those you want to time box into your diet, into your calendar, or into a Gantt chart, anything that's timelined, okay? Because what you're ultimately doing is you're saying, right, this project needs to be completed in Q1. If that's the case, you've got 12 weeks to do that. So is there 12 modules? No, is there 6? Try and find a nice sensible number of modules that make sense, and it's easy to break it down to. You can break it into kind of weekly, bi-weekly chunks, whatever, and it's going to be much easier to manage when you've got them into those kind of weekly units. Morning, guys. Morning, mate. So have you got modules, and then each module, look at the bite-sized chunks or the sections or the tasks, whatever you want to call them, and they're the ones that you time block in. So the skill there is, how long is that task going to take? Sometimes it's difficult. If you're copywriting a landing page, some days you can just churn that out really quickly and easily. Other days it might take hours and hours and hours. So that's where the skill comes. But if you're clever and you're not sure about how long a task is going to take you, put some buffer time in there as well, so that if things overrun, you haven't delayed the whole project. So that becomes a skill. It's a project management skill ultimately. This is contingency planning ultimately that we're trying to kind of get better at. But hopefully that's made sense. So again, to summarise, big targets, stretch targets, break down into modules. Try and make the modules fit with a number of weeks or periods within the deadline you've given yourself, i.e. if you've got 12 weeks, are there 12 modules? Or you've got 12 weeks, are there 6 modules? Are there 12 weeks, are there, try and make it a nice, so it goes into that number, divisible by that number, divisible by that number, so that you can actually fit them into weekly chunks. I'm not saying they're all going to be of equal size, but it's easier to kind of map out if you kind of look at things from that perspective. Then break down each module, how many tasks in that module, and each of those tasks you want to time box into the period that you've given yourself to complete that module into your calendar in timeline events, and you should see a sequential process, task 1, task 2, task 3, and so on, right the way through to completion. Morning. So you'll see hopefully, and then you can see the progress that project is making. But this is game changing, guys, because we've all been there. We've all set big targets, big goals, and failed to complete them in the past. Get this right, with 9 times out of 10 you will be achieving your targets and goals every time you set them. So it's super important you kind of get this right. So that's pretty much it from me today. Hopefully that's been useful. It's a relatively short episode today, as I'm back to work and got a mountain of stuff to catch up on today. But still, you've got to look on the positive side. I'm quite pleased to be back because we've got a really exciting 2021 coming up. So as always, if you've got any questions on this stuff, drop me a comment, I'll respond to everyone. If it's a bigger topic, I'll still respond, but I'll do a separate blog episode and tag you in. If this is irrelevant information to you, unfollow me. You don't have to unfriend. Unfollowing normally stops it cluttering up your social feeds. But also make sure you access the Runpreneur YouTube channel, whereby, let's get past this person. Okay, cheers. Whereby I do a different topic every day. So if this episode is relevant to you, with a different topic being covered every day, hopefully there'll be something in there for each and every one of you that you can dip in and out of on an ad hoc basis. Also, make sure you check out the Runpreneur Facebook group, where I host the free resources that accompany this vlog. The first one being my 70-step process to repurposing, reformatting and optimizing your content across all social platforms. So if you want to be omnipresent across all the social media platforms, and you want to see how I do it, my 70-step process, where all I do is this video once a day and a short form version, a summary version of it, and the team do the rest for me. So this takes me no time at all, which is super cool. So if that's something of interest to you, you want to put more content out there, make sure you check out that checklist. And all that's left to say is the Runpreneur vlog was set up to help entrepreneurs and business owners overcome the dreaded emotions of stress, anxiety and overwhelm by using exercise, or in my case running, as a release mechanism to kind of free the pressure, get clarity on where you are, not getting overwhelmed, stay in control and move on to bigger and better things. And it can often be the difference between success and failure, how well an entrepreneur deals with these emotions. The ones that do it well will, as I've explained, go on to bigger and better things and thrive under the pressure. The ones that don't, the pressure will build, the stress, the pressure, the weight on your shoulders will just grow and grow and grow, and inevitably something will break. And it's usually the entrepreneur will have a breakdown, or the business will break down. And unfortunately, either or is often terminal to the likelihood of your business lasting the test of time. Now, I've been there. I've lost multiple businesses because of this. I've lost multiple business partners because of this, which is another consideration. And I've almost been bankrupt because of it. And I finally feel now, it's taken me to the ripe old age of 38, that I have my release mechanism. And I process things far more efficiently. I feel I'm thriving under the pressure. I've got clarity and focus, and I keep feeling that I'm in control, which is so important. And as a result, I'm further down the line than I thought I'd ever be in the past 6 months, and perhaps the past 3 or 4 years, which just goes to show the difference this can make when you get it right. So my pledge to you is, if you are an entrepreneur struggling with these emotions and need some help, drop me a message, okay? There's no catch here, so I'm not selling you nothing, okay? All I want to do is have a quick call with you and see if I can help you. And I always said that if this vlog can just help one entrepreneur or save one business, it's been 1,000,000% worthwhile. And don't be one of these entrepreneurs that struggles with entrepreneurial pride, bottles it all up and has a breakdown. Reach out, and sometimes it's easier speaking to a complete stranger than it is someone who's nearest and dearest. So don't be too stubborn. So anyway, that's it today. As always, if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you want to see similar content, check out the playlist link below. And as always, stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you tomorrow.